Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and...
We're all cursed.
There's something in the fog. The fog. What you can't see won't hurt you. It will kill you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John, and today we're going to be talking about the 1980 horror film directed by John Carpenter, The Fog. We're also going to be talking about its brand new Scream Factory 4K Blu-ray release that just came out. But first, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, game reviews, tech reviews, we try to do them all here on the channel, and nothing would help us out more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So The Fog was released in 1980. It's John Carpenter's first movie after Halloween, and it is written by him and Deborah Hill. Deborah Hill also produced it and was big working partner with John Carpenter all the way up to her death in 2005. Unfortunately, from cancer. And this film stars Adrienne Barbeau, who at the time was married to John Carpenter, Tom Atkins, who actually would end up having a really good working relationship with John Carpenter. This was their first time working together. He would work again with him next year on Escape from New York, and he would also work with him again, even though he didn't direct it, Tommy Lee Wallace did, on Halloween 3. So this is the beginning of that beautiful relationship that I personally really love. And it also stars Jamie Lee Curtis and her mother, Janet Leigh. So this movie is about Antonio Bay, a small coastal town that just is about to celebrate its 100th anniversary. But little did they know that 100 years earlier, this town was built off of the fact that Father Malone's grandfather and 5 other men killed a ship of Marines on their way to this town, and they were actually going to start a colony there, but instead these 6 men caused their ship to crash, caused them all to die, and then they steal all their gold, and they use that gold to start this town. And now they're seeking revenge, and they hide in the fog. That's why this film is called The Fog. And these guys are brutal. They have no care in the world. They are seeking revenge, and they want revenge. And that's really the basic premise of this film. Adrienne Barbeau, she runs a local radio station in a lighthouse, which is a really cool image, by the way. I'm surprised that not many other films have actually taken this idea, because it's beautiful. And that's where she really spends most of the film. And then Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis spend most of the film together. Tom Atkins picks up Jamie Lee Curtis, who's hitchhiking at one point, and they spend most of the film together. And then Janet Leigh has a role where she's basically on her own, but she really does a great job. I actually think that Janet Leigh is the star of this film as far as acting performances go. I don't think anyone really did an amazing acting performance in this film, but Janet Leigh did stand out above the rest, I think. She had one scene where she had to portray emotion really well, and I think she did a great job in that. Jamie Lee Curtis is still getting her footing. She's still a very young actress. Tom Atkins, he's always pretty good, but he's still a little bit shaky in this film. Adrienne Barbeau actually did a pretty good job. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but she's really our emotional core. She's the one that we're really supposed to be following. She's the viewer, and we're supposed to be really putting ourselves into her, because she's the one telling everybody in the town what's going on, because she's giving the weather reports that she's getting from somebody else, and she can see the fog rolling in, and she's the one who puts everything together about what's going on after talking to Father Malone, because Father Malone's the one who figures out that these people are coming for revenge, and now she understands that the fog is rolling in and it's glowing and what is going on. So she has to really depict that for us, and she does a great job. And the special effects, because this film was only made for $1.1 million, still really hold up. The fog looks beautiful. Is there times it looks a little bit cheesy and you can tell they just had a fog machine right off camera? Absolutely. But that doesn't really take anything away. Actually, I think that really helps this film, because you get John Carpenter for a film like this for a certain reason. That's just because John Carpenter knows how to build atmosphere and tension. If you had just given this film to a regular director, just somebody said, hey, go make your first movie, it's going to be The Fog, this would have been a nothing movie, because the actual story itself is very, very simple. It's a simple ghost story. There's nothing really crazy about this. This isn't one of John Carpenter's kinds of movies like Halloween or The Thing or Escape from New York. This is actually, I think, the outlier in that late 70s, early 80s run that he had, because this is a very simple movie with really not much to say. And it's just really supposed to be a very fun kind of ghost story. But you get John Carpenter for that it ends up being a very good ghost story, a very good film, where it could have just been something very plain and boring. But, you know, you get John Carpenter doing the score, and of course it's an amazing score. It's right up there with They Live, and he didn't do the score for The Thing, but it's right up there as far as his films go, with that, Halloween, and The Thing, and he did a great job as far as making that and building the tension of the film, and it's shot beautifully, and again, on a $1.1 million budget. And he himself was not happy with how the film turned out, that they actually had to go back and do reshoots, because he said he saw the cut, and he was like, I knew it, I made a bad movie. And this isn't my favorite John Carpenter movie, but I do think that it's still a good John Carpenter movie. I would say this floats down in his like 6 through 10 range as far as if you were going to rank his films. It's definitely not down there with like the Ghosts of Mars kind of movies. It's just one of those like, that's a good John Carpenter movie. It's one you can go back to every couple of years and you'll enjoy it. If you're definitely going on a John Carpenter run, you're going to have a lot of fun watching that. I think that's the best way to describe this movie, is that this is more of a fun movie. It's got that early 80s feel to it, and I think it really does work for the film. And I enjoyed it. I think that I can recommend the film if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you know what you're getting into. There is a 2005 remake that I personally cannot recommend, but I do think that this 1980 film is something you should see if you haven't, and if you have, I definitely think it's worth revisiting. So in that case, why don't we talk about its brand new 4K Blu-ray release. So Scream Factory has put out a brand new 4K Blu-ray. Now this isn't Scream Factory's first release of this. I believe they had a 2013 Blu-ray, and then that same scan ended up getting a release onto this 2017 Steelbook that I have, which is very nice. I really do love this Steelbook, and until this was my main go-to source. Now the 4K scan is not new on here. This is actually a 4K scan done by Studio Canal. They did the Escape from New York 4K scan, and then the same thing, eventually Scream Factory released it here in the United States. So this is not new. If you have that Studio Canal 4K, this is the exact same thing. It has Dolby Vision on it, and it has Dolby Atmos on here. And if you're not an Atmos fan, it also has a DTS HD 5.1. Now visually, this movie did a great job on the upgrade. The Dolby Vision shines. This is a coastal town, so it looks beautiful. The outdoor scenes looked really, really, really good. I thought that they did a great job upgrading, especially from the Blu-ray that I had. And this is Studio Canal doing it. They do some of the best restorations around. I really do enjoy their work. I'm always pretty stunned by the 4K restorations they do, and they definitely should stand behind this one. Is it a perfect 4K scan? No. This is another one where I think that the dark scenes are underlit a little bit, and that might be just a source material kind of thing, where it kind of becomes a little bit too grainy and the resolution kind of drops a little bit compared to the outdoor scenes. Like when there's scenes when they're driving outside and you can see the water behind them and they're just right on the coast and that beautiful green grass and the blue sky, the blue water, all that really pops. But then when you go interiors, which were all shot on sound stages, because all the exteriors were shot actually on location in California, but then the interiors are shot on sound stages, which you would think with more controlled lighting they would come out a little bit better. But those scenes are actually the ones that look worse than the outdoor day scenes where it takes place mostly in the sun. Or even with the sun setting and the fog rolling in, that stuff all looked really good. The glowing eyes from the actual from the crew members who died, you know, Blake and all them, that all looked really, really, really good. Towards the end when you have that glowing golden cross, that image never looked better. So the HDR and the Dolby Vision definitely did do its work here. I just don't think that overall it is a complete and total 100% one of the best 4K scans I've ever seen. Is it a good one? Yeah, it's a really good one. But I think this might be one of those where it comes down to source material. I think the source material might be a little bit old. Like I said, for such a low budget film, I'm sure it was hard to make. I'm sure they had to cut corners where they did, and it's going to be really hard to completely clean out the original film negative because of that. And that is my opinion. And that hurts some of the smaller, darker scenes, but I don't think that takes away from the complete 4K scan. Now, the Atmos Track. Wow, the Atmos Track was actually really good, and that's what they're really promoting. That's the only new thing that you're going to be getting on this, because all the extras are the same from previous releases. You're getting nothing new there, but there are a ton of extras. Let's just be clear. They might not be new, but there are extras on both the 4K disc and the Blu-ray disc, so you're going to be very satisfied if you're a fan of extras like I am. Plenty of audio commentary tracks, my favorite being John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, because like I said, I personally just love their working relationship that they had for so long, and just to hear how they make movies, it really is fascinating. And it's sad that she passed away at such a young age from cancer, and they didn't get to make more together, but they did a great job. And if you're going to check out any extras on here, I recommend that audio commentary track, and I think if you're a fan of The Fog, you're going to want to check that out. But back to the audio, like I said, the Atmos Track really, really, really is good. It did a great job building tension. One thing about horror movies is they know how to really use the bass, and the sound mix design and the audio design on this did a great job of really using my subwoofer and my rear speakers, like during the kill scenes, really building up it from a very like quiet sound all the way to a loud sound to where it's making my walls shake. They really did a great job with that. awesome audio design. The Atmos Track, they're promoting it big time, and they really should, because the Atmos Track is definitely the shining star of this entire feature. Not that there's anything wrong with the visuals or the extras or anything, but this Atmos Track is one that will stand out in the crowd, and you're going to want to hear it, especially, you know, and I get it, it has the benefit of working with horror, so the audio really is something that's going to help build the tension in a horror film, so you really do want to pay attention to that, and I'm really glad that they didn't skip out and really half-ass it. It really came out really well. And now, as far as box design, you get a slipcover with the same art underneath, and because it's Scream Factory and they love to do this, you get the alternate cover underneath. So whatever route you want to go, you get that underneath. You can go both ways. The disc design. The disc design is great. I love that they put that little attention to detail. Both the Blu-ray disc and the 4K disc are different art designs on each. It's just something I like to point out because I really do appreciate it when a studio takes a little extra time to put a certain graphic design onto their discs, when they easily could just have put out a black disc that says The Fog on it in white writing like many other studios have done. And, you know, most people wouldn't really care about that, but for them to do that little extra effort, for me, that just gives them a little bit extra points, because I really love to open it up and look at the disc before I put it in the tray. You know, you're going to look at that. Yeah, it's nothing big. It's nothing that's really going to, you know, move the scale that much, but it's something that for me, and I mean, I'm sure for a lot of you, it's just a little something I wanted to take note of. But overall, can I recommend this edition of The Fog? I think absolutely I can. If you have an old version of this, it's pretty dated at this point, so an upgrade is probably due. Would I buy this at full price? I think I can recommend this at full price, but if you're somebody who's not a huge fan of The Fog, like I said, it's not one of John Carpenter's best in my opinion. If you're not a huge fan, you can probably wait for a sale and grab this one, but if you are a huge fan of The Fog and you want to watch it before Halloween's over, I can recommend going out and grabbing it for its full price, and I think you won't be disappointed in it. So overall, if I was going to give this entire package a score, I would give this a pretty solid 8 out of 10. I think it's overall a great packaging. There's not much new on here, but the visual upgrade, the audio track is amazing. The extras are awesome, so I can totally recommend this. I think definitely an 8 out of 10 seems pretty fair. It's not the greatest of visual upgrades I've ever seen. Getting no new extras might hurt it a little bit, but overall, if you are a fan, I could recommend running out and grabbing this. But before we get out of here today, we have a little bit of business to take care of in the form of our digital code giveaway. So for everyone who's new to the channel, every Friday we do a digital code giveaway. So you come here in Friday's video, every Friday we have a video come up and we ask 2 questions. All you have to do is in the comments section below answer one of these 2 questions and you're entered into our digital code giveaway, and then if you are lucky enough to win, you have your choice of the digital codes that you see on your screen right now. So if you are entered into the digital code giveaway, you're going to come back to Monday's video and you are going to see me spin our magic wheel, and this week it's going to be 2 times, and then we're going to have 2 digital code winners. So what is this week's digital code giveaway questions? I figured since, hey, we're talking John Carpenter in this video, why don't I ask you guys, what is your favorite John Carpenter film? And second question, I figured since we talked about Cloak and Dagger on Monday, what is your favorite adventure film? You know, that can include Indiana Jones, The Goonies, which I'm not a huge fan of, you know, anything like that. And all you have to do is answer one of those 2 questions and you're entered into our digital code giveaway. And as always, guys, thank you so much for being a fan of Let's Talk. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.